So guide me through like your darkest moment in business.
It's fear, it's self-doubt,
You depressed now?
because stuff will happen. It's hard to say what triggers it.
How do you overcome it? What do you tell homeowners?
I guess my wife has been a big support of mine. She's encouraged me throughout the whole thing. I wouldn't be doing it without her. Yeah.
So what's your story? Have you ever had a situation where people did not want to give you money or was hesitating to give you down payment because you were young, or they did not trust you because you were too new in the business, and they said something like, hey, I don't know if I trust you with my money?
Yeah, and we still have that every single day.
Really?
We still have people, yeah. This...
Even now?
Because there are other contractors out there that say, oh, you should never, put any money down, pay when it's complete and stuff like that. And now that we've built a good reputation, we don't have that issue as much. But look at the industry we're in. You've got really great contractors that do an awesome job. And then you have people that make 60 minutes, a big 60 minutes article that makes everybody look bad. Mm-hmm. So we're having to compete or prove ourselves against those, con artists.
Craigslist roofers.
Craigslist guys, you always hear, once a year here in Memphis, we hear, you watch the news and there's some company
major scam
that took a deposit and then never showed up to do the work.
How do you overcome it? What do you tell homeowners? Why they should trust you?
Well, I tell them, I say, look, you called me because probably you saw my reviews online, Better Business Bureau, Google reviews and all that stuff. I didn't get to that point by conning people, right? My address, I have an office here. You know where I live. Most of these people have my cell phone number. I can't hide.
Sure. Tell me, how did you get in business? What's the story? It's funny, every time you ask someone, how did you get in the roofing business? There's always a long story. Nobody ever planned. Nobody went to school for it. Nobody, was growing up dreaming, hey, I'm going to be a roofer one day.
Yeah.
So what's your story?
It's a pretty interesting story. So my father owns Restoration Systems, Inc., and it's a nationwide construction company that he built from the ground up. And, he had me, looking back, it's just amazing how everything fell into place. But at age 16, he sent me to get Xactimate trained. I remember looking around in the class being like, oh, this is dumb. I want to be with my friends. I'm spending a summer day or 2 days learning this software. I was the youngest guy in the room. And, so I feel like things just kind of fell into place for me to be where I am today. So throughout high school and into college, I would do estimates for him, Xactimate estimates for large losses. I got very comfortable doing that. Right out of college, I was a project manager for his company, just kind of doing everything I can to learn.
So you're really good at Xactimate?
I'm good with the large losses. I think the last estimate I did for him before I started my roofing business, it was like $3.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm good at that. I'm not good at sketch. I can't do the exterior. I can do the interior really well, but I'm going to learn that.
So how did you move from water mediation business to roofing business? Why didn't you stay with your dad and build that one? Because that's also a really good business.
Well, it's kind of interesting though, like when you're working for somebody or, I'm working under my dad. I'm just doing it, honestly, because it's a job, it's a family business, it's the right thing to do. It was actually one day my father-in-law called me up. He wasn't my father-in-law at the time, but he called me up and he said, hey, I need a new roof on my house. Can you do it? I'm like, I don't really mess with residential. We do apartments, commercial, and all that. I said, but sure, I'll do it. It'll be cost plus 5% just to cover some overhead or something like that. So we did his roof.
Cost plus 5%.
Yeah, he got a really good deal.
Okay.
But probably lost money on it now knowing what overhead really costs, but that's okay. So yeah, that was the first ever roof. And like I said, it just
snowballed.
His buddy wanted one. And it was after about, I guess, the fourth or fifth roof, I turned to my wife and I was like, you know what, why don't we, this is kind of fun. Like I enjoy it. I was up there on the roof, like learning, because I I was used to managing large projects. I had never really seen the application part of it. I knew how it went down, but I'd never really been there for it, if that makes any sense. So I kind of got into the technical side of things, and I mean, for the first year and a half, I was up there helping my crew, learning as much as I can.
What did you like about it? What attracted you to a roofing business?
It's so neat seeing the fruit of your labor, right? So you go to this house, roof looks like crap, and 2 or 3 days later, it's a brand new shiny roof, and people are happy with you and stuff like that. I mean, it was really neat.
Satisfying?
Yeah. It was neat being able to see something from start to finish, and it was 100% you managing it, setting it up, doing the work. I mean, it was, I don't know, it just felt good, and I realized I was pretty good at it. You know, I was good at talking to people. I'm very knowledgeable on all the different materials and, you know, how they go down and stuff like that. So I guess my wife has been a big support of mine. She's encouraged me throughout the whole thing. I mean, I wouldn't be doing it without her. So yeah, it just kind of happened, man. I made it official about 8 months later into doing like 4 or 5 roofs.
What did you tell your dad? You're gonna leave him and start your own business?
So he saw it. He was like, "Hey, you're pretty good at this. I'll give you 8 months to make it legit." And I mean, he backed me. And I mean, I was working out of his office anyways, and we started doing roofs, and I got a crew together, you know. Then I got another crew together, and it just
What did you make in the first year in business, in sales?
probably about 300,000, I believe.
Not bad.
Yeah, we were doing no repairs.
What are you planning to do this year?
I'm hoping for, so my goal is 6 million.
Yesterday you told me 5.5.
Huh?
Yesterday
We were on track for 5.5.
I see.
So before COVID-19 hit, we were on track for 5.5, and then we had 2 weeks of just dead silence, and then things really picked up. So, I mean, I probably won't hit 6, but I'm shooting for that, right?
Over 5.
Aim for the stars and land at the
So
moon.
4 years in business now?
Yep,
So 4 years in business and you're already at 5 million.
correct.
Have you ever been depressed while running a business?
Every day,
You depressed now?
man. I mean,
Is it depression or is it anxiety or is it?
I've always had anxiety.
Okay.
Okay.
But how does the roofing business adds to it? Or, I mean, would you have anxiety if you would work for another business as a sales rep, for example, or?
It would be a different kind of anxiety.
Okay.
You know, it's not my family's livelihood. You know,
Let's talk
100%.
about business anxiety and business depression. How does running a business like roofing business affects you, and in what ways, and how do you manage it or deal with it?
So you have to, there's such an expectation, a self-imposed expectation to always be on top of your game, right? And I have times when I'm literally firing on all cylinders, and I've posted in your group about this, I'll hit a fog, and it's just like, it's fear, you know, it's self-doubt, you know, because stuff will happen. It's hard to say what triggers it, but it's just the pressure.
Burnout?
It's burnout. It's, you know, personnel issues. It's that customer that's just unreasonable. I mean,
How often do you have those burnouts?
pretty often, man. I've got to, you know, take time.
Have you ever thought about quitting, walking away from all of it
I've
in
told
the burnout time?
I've told my wife, I was like, I mean, because it's hard on my whole family. I mean, even when I'm home, I have this obligation to take care of people, like customers and stuff. I just feel like, you know, it's like a vicious cycle. Like, I'm providing for my family, but my job requires me to be there, you know, when people need me, which also ticks off my family. Let me get rid of this phone. I'm being blown up.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, make sure everything is rolling.
Yeah, I also wanted to give you some space.
No, it's okay. You can be here. It's fine.
It's fine, man. I'm open about this stuff.
So guide me through like your darkest moment in business. Like when you're like very low, you're depressed. How does it affect your work-life balance, your relationship, and what do you do? How do you bounce back? Do you take a couple days off? Because I know a lot of
No.
guys who's watching it will deal with the same thing. Do you have advice for someone in the position?
I don't really ever take days off. That's really hard for me to do. Even on like a vacation, I find ways to get an hour or two of work in, in a day. I wish I had the answer to that, man. I'm struggling with that right now. My biggest problem is being there for my wife and my kids, not physically, but mentally and emotionally. Like, I'll deal with something in the office, it'll put me in a bad mood, and I go home, and it's hard to, leave it at the door. When you own a business, it's hard to leave it at the door. Just being honest.
Is your wife involved in the business at all?
She is my backbone, She stays at home with the kids, but
She doesn't have a role in the company.
she registers warranties, and she does a good job of doing that.
Okay.
Because you got to get it right.
Yep.
And she does an awesome job. But, she's just like my, it's cliche to say this, but she's my rock. Everybody says that.
Sure.
But, I really mean it. I wouldn't be doing this business if I hadn't met her and her dad.
Well, your first job was for your father-in-law.
Yeah, it kind of all happened out of that. But yeah, man, it's weird when you I've got 3 kids. I've got a wife that stays home. I have to come into work and perform every single day. And I can't always show emotion. But then also I can't go home and dump all my emotion on my wife, who also has her own emotions. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you have to be so many people during a given day. And it's hard to switch, and it just kind of makes you feel like a failure at times.
If you're the roofing contractor and you want to be added to Roofing Insights family, check our online directory, roofinginsights.com/directory. We back up all roofers on our directory by $20,000 guarantee. We send you leads, and all the homeowners who come for us for advice are going to see your listing on our website.